this session, I am going to take up for discussion a very important topic from polity, constitution, governance, that is parliamentary committees. And this is one topic on which the frequency of questions asked both in prelims as well as in the main exam is very high. And this topic is highly conceptual in nature as well as to great extent analytical, and you have to have conceptual clarity on different types of parliamentary committees, the composition, structure, function, importance. So we are all set to take up the discussion on parliamentary committees. First and the foremost thing which I would like you all to remember, that work done by parliament in modern times is not only varied and complex in nature, but is considerable in volume. And this is the reason why good deal of work of parliament is done in the parliamentary committees, and only in the final stage the matter is taken up before the two houses of parliament for debate followed by discussion. So what I would just like you all to remember, that parliamentary committees are basically committees consisting of members of parliament, and these committees are just for assisting the parliament in effective discharge of its functions. I would just like you all to remember that if you see 1952 and if you see 2020, what will you find? That the parliament in 1952, in those days, population of India was less than 50 crore. It used to be 40 crore approximately. Now the government which was answerable to 40 crore people, on that government the parliament was exercising control. For 40 crore people, the parliament was making laws, but today the parliament is making laws for 1300 million people, 1300 million people, that is 130 crore people. And if you see, government expenditure has gone up significantly. The number of laws which are passed by parliament in each session, that has gone significantly high. So because of this, and sessions of parliament in 1950s also 3 times in a year, there used to be sessions of parliament, even today 3 times in a year. So this is the reason why parliament has innovated a wonderful mechanism that whatever work is to be done by parliament, initial part of the work will be done by parliamentary committees, and only in the final stage the work will be done by the two houses of parliament. So I would just like you all to remember few things. Number one, conceptually we are all set to start the discussion on parliamentary committees. So I just want you all to remember this, that these parliamentary committees consists of members of parliament, and these committees basically assist parliament in effective discharge of its varied, complex and considerable volume, considerable in volume, nature, functions or work. Okay. So what I am trying to make you people understand, that Parliament has varied and complex nature work to do. Parliament has work to do which is considerable in volume, and because of lack of time, Parliament cannot do justice to the different nature of work which it has to do. So what way out they have found? That parliamentary committees are constituted, and these committees will do the initial part of the work, and only in the final stage the work will be before the two houses of parliament, where final discussion followed by decision. And these parliamentary committees consist of only the members of parliament. So it is as good as parliament is also doing the initial part of the work itself. So this is what is the concept, right? This is what is the concept. So I would just like you all to remember this, right? That since Parliament has to perform functions which are varied, complex and considerable in volume, okay, and the time at its disposal, right, the time at its disposal, the time at its disposal is limited. Time at its disposal is limited. Therefore, a good deal, I would say, I would use this word, a good deal of its business is transacted in parliamentary committees and only in final stage the matter goes before two houses of parliament for discussion followed by decision. So this is what is the concept. So again I am trying to make you people understand that today if we, you fully are aware about the different type of roles which parliament has to play. Legislative role, role of the parliament to amend constitution, role of the parliament to exercise control over executive, making the government of the country answerable to the people, passing of budget, educative role, informative role, role in impeachment of president, removal of vice president, removal of judges of Supreme Court, removal of judges of High Court, removal of chief election commissioner in the Election Commission of India, removal of comptroller and auditor general, and so on and so forth. So the varied and the complex nature of work which parliament has to do, and that is also considerable in volume, parliament cannot do justice, and therefore a way out we have found. And what is the way out? That we have come up with this wonderful idea of parliamentary committees. These committees consist of members of parliament, and significant part of the business is transacted in these committees, and only in the final stage it will go before parliament for discussion and decision. But microscopic examination, microscopic evaluation, micro level discussions will take place, micro level scrutiny will take place in parliamentary committees. And you should remember that only members of parliament can be the part of parliamentary committees. Now, this is what is the concept of parliamentary committees. Now, parliamentary committees based on nature, right, they are divided into two categories. Okay, so parliamentary committees are divided into two categories. One is standing committees. Standing committees, and second is ad hoc committees. Okay, standing committees and ad hoc committees. Parliamentary committees can be broadly classified into two categories: standing committees and ad hoc committees. Okay, so standing committees, if you see, they are permanent in nature. They are permanent in nature. Okay, they are regular committees. They are regular committees. Regularly they are there in parliament. Regular committees. Okay, and they are continuous in nature, whatever word you may use, continuous, in nature. They are continuous in nature. What is the meaning of standing committees? That these committees are permanent. Always they will be there within the functioning of parliament. But members as well as chairmen of standing committees have fixed term. And with the completion of term, there will be change in the chairmanship. There will be changes in the membership of the committees, but committee will continue. Okay, so there is continuity as far as the nature of standing committees are concerned. They are permanent. But permanent does not mean that the chairman will also be permanent. Members will also be permanent. Chairman and members will have fixed term, and on completion of term, there will be change in chairmanship. There will be changes in the membership as well. But committees will be continuously there within the parliamentary functioning. They are regular committees. Okay, so this is what is the meaning of standing committees. Now, when it comes to ad hoc committees, right, what you need to remember, ad hoc committees are temporary. Temporary in nature. Temporary in nature. But most important, right, they are constituted for a specific purpose, on special occasions, on a special occasion, and the most important, right, the most important, they cease to exist. They cease to exist when they finish the task assigned to them, assigned to them, and submit a report. Submit a report. So very, very important that ad hoc committees are temporary in nature. They are only constituted on a special occasion for a very specific purpose. The very specific will be the term of reference, and the day when committee will complete the task which was assigned to this committee and submits its report, that moment itself the committee will cease to exist. That will bring an end to the life of that particular committee. Okay, and normally in ad hoc committees there will be no change in chairmanship and membership. Only in case of extraordinary situations. Let us suppose for an example that somebody has been appointed as the chairman of an ad hoc committee in parliament, and that person, is dying. Now somebody else is to be appointed as the chairman to complete the work of that particular committee. Otherwise, normally there will be no change in the chairmanship and there will be no change in membership of ad hoc committees. So I would just like you all to remember, ad hoc committees are temporary in nature. They are constituted on a special occasion for a very, very specific purpose. There is a very specific nature, term of reference of committee. Term of reference means the work assigned to the committee, and the moment the committee will complete its work and will submit its report, the committee will cease to exist. So this is so parliamentary committees are broadly classified into two groups. Number one is standing committees. Number two is ad hoc committees. Okay, now let me give some example. As far as the example of standing committees are concerned, a wonderful example is DRSCs, departmentally related standing committees. We will have a detailed discussion about these committees, some of these committees, because they are asking question specific to committees. So one example of a standing committee is departmentally related standing committees. Number two, public account committee. Public account committee. Public account committee. This is the most important committee, PAC. A lot of questions they have asked on public account committee in prelims as well as main exam. This is again yet another example of standing committee. Okay, then committee on estimates. Committee on estimates. Okay, committee on estimates, yet another important parliamentary committees. Okay, and that is a standing committee, and again a lot of questions they have asked in the prelims as well as in the main exam on committee on estimates. We will have discussion about these committees. Then another example for another example for committee on public sector undertakings. So we have a committee on public sector undertakings. Then another example of a standing committee, if you see, we have committee on welfare, committee on welfare Committee on Welfare of Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe. We also have example, right? We also have example, Business and Advisory Committee, Business and Advisory, Business and Advisory Committee. This is in both the houses. Committee on Privilege, both houses of Parliament we have, and so on and so forth. These are the examples, right? These are the examples for standing committees. Okay. But when it comes to ad hoc committee, the examples which we have, and the most important example is JPC, Joint Parliamentary Committee. We will discuss about these committees separately, but at this stage of discussion, you only need to know the examples. So, Joint Parliamentary Committee is an example of ad hoc committee. Similarly, we have Select Committee on Bills and Joint Committee on Bills. Okay. Joint, these are examples of what? Ad hoc committee. Select Committee on Bills. Just see the basic concept. You know, why especially it is constituted. Many a times, very technical nature bill will be presented in the House. Let us say, nuclear liability bill. Okay. Now, every member of the Parliament cannot understand in detail the provisions of the bill and whether the provisions of the bill are appropriate or not. Okay. So, when such nature bills are presented in the House by the government, the presiding officer of the House will select members based on their academic background, based on their expertise, based on their special interest, based on their capacity. Their members are selected. And then this committee is asked to examine the technical nature bill and submit a report before the Parliament, and only on the report the House will discuss. So, members are selected because the technical component is there within the bill. So, this is why it is known as Select Committee on Bill. Okay. Now, sometime the bill is highly technical and members in one house are not adequate who have expertise in that particular domain. Then the presiding officer of one house will reach out to the presiding officer of other house and will propose that can we jointly select members from the two houses of Parliament to study the technical nature bill, because bill passed by one house will definitely go to second house. So, sometimes even we have seen constitution of joint committee on bills. But the moment they will study the provisions of the bill and will submit the report, the committee will cease to exist. Okay. So, when it comes to ad hoc committees, we have example before us like Joint Parliamentary Committee, Select Committee on Bills, Joint Committee on Bills, and when it comes to standing committees, we have examples like departmentally related standing committees. We have examples like Public Account Committee. We have examples like Committee on Estimates, Committee on Public Sector Undertaking, Committee for Welfare of Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes. So, parliamentary committees broadly classified into two groups, standing committees and ad hoc committees. Standing committees are permanent in nature. There is continuity in their work. There is regularity in their existence, whereas ad hoc committees are constituted on a specific, for a specific purpose, on a special occasion, and when they complete the task assigned to them, these committees cease to exist. So this is the basic concept about parliamentary committees.